Welcome to Synagogues of the Ukraine, Part 5. We start out in the city of Mykolaiv. At least that's what it's called today. At one time, it was called Nikolaev. It's in the southern part of the Ukraine near the Black Sea. We're looking at what some call the Old Synagogue, and it was built in 1819. It supposedly is still standing but in need of repair. Here is what is identified as another synagogue in Mykolaiv. This is known as the Jewish Center of Mykolaiv, and it's on Schneerson Street, which should tell you right away that it is under the direction of the Chabad Lubavitch. It also happens to be the birthplace of the seventh Lubavitch Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Schneerson. And we see here that the Lubavitch put up a sukkah during the holiday of Sukkot. Some people think of the city of Odessa being in Russia, but it's actually in the Ukraine. It's also in the southern part along the Black Sea. This location has been identified as a Chabad branch in Odessa. Odessa has close to 1 million people. The local director is Rabbi Avraham Wolf. There is also a Jewish community center, a Hebrew High, a Hebrew school, a children's club, among other Jewish community services. There's a long history of Jews in Odessa. This building here was called the Great Choral Synagogue, built in 1840. When the Soviets grabbed it, it became a sports hall. Since it reverted back to the Jewish community, it has become a religious, cultural, and educational center serving a variety of social services for the Jewish community. This is called the Brodsky Shul in Odessa. It was built in 1863 by the Jews who had lived in Brody. Brody is in the Lvov district in the western part of the Ukraine. By 1920, the Soviets took it over and made it a social club to help push a socialist agenda. In 1939, there were close to between 80 to 90,000 Jews in Odessa. 6 years later, there were only 5,000. The building was eventually made a national historical landmark, but nothing was done to try to preserve it. It was returned back to the Jewish community in 2016. The Chabad Lubavitch are working on raising funds to repair the building, restore it to being used as a synagogue, as well as a Jewish museum and tolerance center. We don't have a lot of information on this next synagogue other than here's a little more information about this first synagogue that we showcased. It's on Yevruska Street, and as we said earlier, it's possibly associated with an organization called Tikva. We'll let the pictures say 1,000 words. Finally, this is known as the Central Synagogue under the direction again of Chabad. This is the same building we showed you much earlier, but it's now been fixed up. However, it's listed as being a different street address. It's more than 100 years old and was originally called the Shomrei Shabbat Synagogue, with monies taken from the Malbish Arumim Fund, which was monies raised to help clothe the poor. As the same with the other synagogues in Odessa, it was confiscated by the Soviets, recently returned back to the Jewish community, and put into the hands of the Chabad Lubavitch. One bit of trivia, it's possible when Shalom Aleichem, the famous writer, wanted to attend synagogue services, he would have come to this one. There'll be another episode coming up about the Jewish houses of worship in the country of the Ukraine. So, bye for now, and see you real soon.